In today's video, we're going to continue our NHL redraft series. We've already completed years back as far as 2015, so today we're looking at the 2014 NHL Draft and redrafting their top 15 picks. We'll jump into that coming up next. So welcome back to another video here at Top Shelf Hockey. As I mentioned, today we're taking a look at the 2014 NHL Draft and we're redrafting the top 15 selections. Now, in my opinion, this is a very interesting draft, and I think a lot of these teams would actually pick a different player if they could go back in time and redo this draft, a combination of getting a stronger player or maybe a different position. There's certainly lots of things here that could have been done different and could have impacted these teams' future for sure. So if you want to see my full 15 picks and my opinions on how that's going to impact the franchise, make sure you watch through to the end of the video to get all the details, and of course subscribe if you're new to the channel. So let's first of all take a look at the original first 15 picks of the 2014 NHL Draft. Now, as you can see, the first overall pick in 2014 was defenseman Aaron Ekblad, who went to the Florida Panthers. Number 2 overall was Sam Reinhart of the Buffalo Sabres. Number 3 overall was the Oilers drafting Leon Draisaitl. Number 4 overall was Calgary taking forward Sam Bennett. Number 5 was the New York Islanders selecting forward Michael Del Cole. Number 6, the Vancouver Canucks selected forward Jake Virtanen. Number 7 overall, the Carolina Hurricanes took defenseman Hayden Fleury. Number 8 overall, the Leafs took forward William Nylander. Number 9 overall, the Winnipeg Jets selected forward NIKOLAJ EHLERS. At number 10, the Anaheim Ducks selected forward Nick Ritchie. At number 11 overall, the Predators selected forward Kevin Fiala. Number 12 overall, the Arizona Coyotes selected forward Brendan Perlini. At number 13 overall, the Washington Capitals selected JAKUB VRANA. Number 14 overall, the Dallas Stars took defenseman Julius Honka. And number 15 overall, the Red Wings selected Dylan Larkin. So after reviewing that, as you can likely imagine, as I indicated, I think there's a lot of players that likely would no longer be first-round picks, or at least not high first-round picks, based on their performance in their NHL careers here so far. Some of these guys have proven to be pretty solid players, while others have not. And there's certainly some other players we're going to move up here into these top 15 picks that it could be considered draft steals by many. So let's take a look here at number 1 and work our way down to 15 with this NHL redraft. My new pick for the first overall selection in the 2014 draft, the Florida Panthers would select forward Leon Draisaitl, of course currently with the Edmonton Oilers, one of the league's top players, the league's leading scorer as of the NHL season being suspended as we record this. He's put up 422 points in 422 games. He's exactly a point per player game in his career. Of course, as you just saw, he originally went number 3 to the Oilers. But in my opinion, Draisaitl, the fact that he plays center and is so offensive and so dominant, even though he plays a lot with Connor McDavid, he has proven that he can be just as important and drive just as much offense on his own as well. So I think Draisaitl here, because he's a center, really is the top player right now in this draft class. The number 2 selection, the Buffalo Sabres would select current Bruins forward David Pastrnak, who originally went number 25. Now, it's hard to shake your head around the fact that he went 25th overall and 24 other players were selected above him. Can you imagine if the Sabres would have selected Pastrnak instead of Sam Reinhart and he was putting the puck in the net for them like he has been for the Bruins over the past few years? That could be a franchise-altering draft selection. He's put up 379 points in 390 games played, so he's not too far off from being a point-per-game player. Of course, he's joined what they call the perfection line in Boston, playing quite nicely with Bergeron and Marchand for one of the best and top lines across the NHL. Number 3 overall, the Edmonton Oilers would now select forward Brayden Point of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Of course, with Draisaitl not being available any longer, Brayden Point would not be a bad second choice. Point is certainly another draft steal in this draft, going 79 overall to the Lightning, and he's put up 260 points in his first 294 games played for the Lightning. He's one of the fastest players in the NHL. He can play center, so clearly would feel the same type of need for the Oilers that Draisaitl does, and could very well be just as productive, if not more, in an Oilers uniform. With the 4th overall selection, the Calgary Flames would now select Dylan Larkin, who of course has played a pivotal role in their Red Wings and will be a big part of their rebuild as they move forward. Of course, he originally went number 15 overall. Of course, he can play center ice. He's incredibly fast. Again, a lot of speed in this draft. Brayden Point and Dylan Larkin both are 2 of the fastest players in the NHL. He's put up 266 points in his first 389 games played. One of the few Red Wings prospects to head straight to the NHL after being drafted. It would be an absolute stud first or second line center for the Flames. Between Larkin and Monahan being the top 2 centers in Calgary, that would make a huge difference in their overall team results. Number 5, the New York Islanders would select forward William Nylander, who originally went number 8 to the Maple Leafs. Of course, Nylander's been a good fit in Toronto as well. Has a pretty reasonable contract, in my opinion. I know there was a lot of debate over that holdout, but now that he's bounced back and proven to be a 30-plus goal scorer this past season, I think many can now argue that Nylander's got a pretty reasonable deal. He's put up 221 points in his first 307 games. He's also versatile in the fact that he can play center when they need him to. He certainly mostly plays wing. But in a pinch, if Matthews or Tavares go down with injury, he can jump in and play center. So clearly, in my opinion, Nylander's the type of player who can fill a variety of positions within your team. Very versatile. And I think the Islanders would have no choice but to select him here at the 5th overall selection. Number 6, the Vancouver Canucks would then select NIKOLAJ EHLERS. Of course, they originally took Jake Virtanen, but EHLERS has been way more productive. The original number 9 overall pick to the Winnipeg Jets has put up 257 points in his first 369 games played. Has a pretty solid long-term contract as well, which would fit well within the Canucks salary cap situation. EHLERS has been terrifically productive and really would be a great addition to the Canucks lineup. Number 7 overall, the Carolina Hurricanes originally took defenseman Hayden Fleury, who's really taken a long time to develop and struggled to find consistency getting into the lineup on a regular basis. They would now select forward Victor Arvidsson, who was a big-time draft steal in this draft, going 112 overall. He's put up 214 points in 335 NHL games, has proven to be one of the top kind of hidden gems, in my opinion, around the NHL. Can score with the best of them, but often because he plays in Nashville, not a bigger market, sometimes doesn't get the attention that other players in bigger cities do. But Arvidsson certainly one of the most underrated players around the league, in my opinion. The number 8th overall selection belonged to the Leafs, who originally took William Nylander, and now they address their issue on the blue line and take the former first overall pick, Aaron Ekblad, of course a right-shot defenseman, has had a pretty decent career so far, 212 points in 458 games. Of course, Ekblad was one of the few players to be granted exceptional status going into junior hockey a year early in the Ontario Hockey League. And even though he wouldn't be the first overall pick, in my opinion, today, he's still proven to be a pretty solid blue liner and has had a lot of success in the NHL and could address a major need on the Leafs back end. The number 9 overall selection went to the Winnipeg Jets, where they had Nick EHLERS originally. He's no longer on the board, so they now select the former number 2 overall pick, Sam Reinhart, who also can play center as well as the wing, and that's been a pretty good fit in Buffalo, but obviously had a lot more hype than he's put up at the NHL coming into the draft. He's put up 255 points in 400 NHL games, and like I said, certainly can't call him a draft bust at all. I mean, he's put up some good numbers, but he certainly would be a lower pick today than he was at the time this originally took place. The number 10 pick belonged to the Anaheim Ducks, who originally took Nick Ritchie. Of course, they recently traded him to the Bruins. That didn't really work out for them. Now they could take Swiss forward Kevin Fiala, who originally went number 11 overall and has put up 158 points in 287 games played. Of course, got off to a pretty good start in Nashville, then over time kind of struggled, ended up getting traded to Minnesota. Took him a while to find his game there as well, but he certainly has found it this past year, rebounded nicely, and has proven to be the top young player that many thought he would be when he was drafted. The number 11 overall pick belongs to the Nashville Predators, and they would take their goalie of the future in another big-time draft steal, Igor Shesterkin, who went to the Rangers at 118th overall. Shesterkin, even though he has limited NHL experience, has shown that between his time in the AHL and limited NHL time, that he is going to be a stud goaltender and a franchise-altering type player that you can build around, in my opinion. There's been a lot of hype around him since being drafted in 2014. Obviously played in Russia for a few years before coming over and slowly built up his resume and will be one of the best NHL goaltenders in short order. And with Pekka Rinne getting close to retirement, how nice would it be for the Predators to have a goalie like this in their system now, ready to take over the starting netminder job. Number 12 overall was the Arizona Coyotes, and they would select now take Nick SCHMALTZ, who was originally drafted by Chicago but does play for Arizona as of today. Of course, he was number 20 overall to the Hawks, but was later traded to the Coyotes, so he's still there. SCHMALTZ has put up 130 points in 249 games, pretty solid center iceman. Not quite, a first-line player, but many teams a good second-line player, and has fit in nicely with the Coyotes. If he can stay healthy and help them continue on here, they can certainly get some good production on the SCHMALTZ, and I think he's where he should be. The number 13 overall selection was the Washington Capitals, where they took JAKUB VRANA, and I think that's exactly where he belongs as well. He was the 13th overall pick before, and that's where I'd put him today, putting up 132 points in 245 games. Of course, he plays with tremendous speed and is slowly finding his scoring touch in the NHL, and I think would be a great pick to remain with the Capitals. The number 14th overall pick was the Dallas Stars, where they selected defenseman Julius Honka, and that has not panned out. Honka's currently waiting for a trade. Now they would select Rangers defenseman Tony DeAngelo, who went number 19 overall, and even though it took him a while to get a regular spot in the NHL, DeAngelo has really come on strong in the past couple of years and proven that he can be a solid 50-point defenseman for the foreseeable future. He's got 105 points in 200 games now, and DeAngelo would be a tremendous help on the Dallas Stars blue line. Of course, in the last draft we did was the 2015 group, where they had the opportunity where they could have taken Thomas Chabot and throw in guys like John Klingberg and Heiskanen on that blue line. Really, the Dallas Stars could have one heck of a blue line here if they had made some different choices. Then the final pick of the draft, number 15 overall, the Detroit Red Wings would then select forward Kevin LABANC. Of course, they originally took Dylan Larkin, who went much higher in this redraft, but LABANC would be the best player available, in my opinion, at this point, putting up 149 points in 284 games played for the San Jose Sharks so far in his young career. So those are the top 15 picks for the 2014 NHL Draft. Of course, as always, we'll know your thoughts and opinions and how you would pick these players for these teams if they had the opportunity to do a do-over here. Clearly, this draft class was not one of the stronger ones, and there's a lot of first-round picks that have not, at least so far, have panned out and are heading down the idea here of being a draft bust, and there's lots of draft steals that we've seen in later rounds from players for their teams now and into the future. So let me know your thoughts down below on these selections, and we can discuss further in the comments. If you're new to the channel, consider subscribing and turning on your notifications so you don't miss any future content, and give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it as well. I'd appreciate it if you did. As always, thank you for watching, and I will catch you next time.